Welcome everyone to this video. This is about Sibelius, and I'm going to show you quickly how you can put in a lead sheet or most of a lead sheet or something. I want to get you all started here. So what I would like to do from here, this is the quick start window once you open up Sibelius, of course. As you'll see, by default you get into a quick start window, which if you saw my other video on Finale, it's the same as the setup wizard, so you have all the same options that you can choose there. Now with Sibelius, of course, as you can see here from the beginning, we have various categories to work with, chamber groups and various bands and so on. For this lead sheet that I want to put in here, I'm going to just choose the treble staff. Now you'll see there that I clicked the treble staff option and it went straight to the next window. All I have to do is click on this once. If I double click it, it will actually get into the score where I will then immediately be able to start working with that with the score itself. If I click it once, as we saw a moment ago, it will just take me straight into the next window. So I can set up various other options. So page size and orientation here. House style, which is, if you've worked with any notation software before, you'll see that in house style that sets up your fonts. So you can set up your score to look handwritten or various other ways, various other fonts that you can work with here. So I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to drag down, let's see, on my score I need to have cut time, so I'm just going to set that up here. And for the rest of this, there are other options that are here and available as far as key signature, pickup, measure and tempo and all of this stuff. So what I want to do here, actually put in the title and everything from the beginning. What I want to do here is leave this for the most part blank, just so I can show you how to change all of this stuff, or most of this stuff, once we get inside. So let me just move this time signature back to 4/4, and I'm going to see here tempo, text. Sure, I can. Maybe I have something in there that I want. No, I'm going to leave that also. How about the metronome mark? We might as well give you that one. So half note equals 100. Whoops, that's an eighth note. There we go. Half note equals 100 for our purposes. And I'm just going to leave the rest of this blank, as I said, and we'll do that within the score itself. So I'm going to hit create. And once I hit create, you can see how messy my desktop is. I will shield you from that. Don't want to cause any more anxiety. And from here is where I can then work with the score. You'll be able to work with pretty much anything you need to do here. So let's say, for instance, I would need to add or remove some of the instruments that I have here. So this is where I would do that. Add or remove. This is under the home menu item, by the way. So I could go there and then, I have this unnamed treble staff. I could get rid of that, or I could add to it simply by clicking on, like, let's say Glockenspiel, for instance, and then add to score. We don't need that, so I'm just going to click on Glockenspiel again and delete from score. So that's how you can do that sort of stuff. Let's see. Well, may as well jump into the lead sheet that I'm going to work with here. If you saw my Finale video, I believe I did So Wonderful there as well by Gershwin. So I'm going to do that here. So first of all, we need to give it the title. If I need to type anything like that into the score, I'm going to go to text, as you can see up here at the top of the screen, and I will go to styles. And when I click on styles, that's going to give me a bunch of options here that I have. What have we used already? The metronome mark. Because when we were in the quick start window, we had the option for metronome mark, and we put that in. So that's what we've used so far. If I go below that, it'll show you what's commonly used. So it'll be like technique or tempo, subtitle, title, composer, lyricist, that kind of stuff. And then below that, it divides the different types of text into categories that you might be interested in there and may need to use. Yeah, so let's see. Now we want to get into title. So I'm going to click on title here, and then I'll just click on the score. When you're working with Sibelius, anytime you have something selected, be it a type of text or a note that you want to put in, some kind of a duration or whatever that is, then you'll notice that your pointer becomes blue, and then you click somewhere in the score and you'll be able to start working with it. So I click here on the score and I can type in this title. So I type that in. After having done so, one of the questions is, well, you clicked in the middle at the top in the top of the score. So does that mean if I click anywhere, I'll be able to put my title anywhere? Well, no. Some of these work on a template, so it's more of a grid within Sibelius. So for the title, if I click on the title, and move it around, sure, I can move it up and down, but left and right, I won't be able to do that because the title has to be in here somewhere in the middle where titles would normally be found. Can I change that once I click on it? Sure. If I double click on it, then of course I get my cursor in the title somewhere, and I can type in whatever I need to type in or change it or whatever I need to do. So yeah, those are easily changeable once you put stuff in. So now we have the title. On lead sheets, you normally see, of course, who composed this. So on mine, I have a words by and a music by. And the way it's listed here is it says words by Ira Gershwin, and then below that, music by George Gershwin. And it's over here on this right-hand side. So if I go back up to styles, I can then find, composer. And I'll say, great. I can just put in composer. We said music by George Gershwin, so I'll just type it in as such. Music by George Gershwin. And great. Now we have that. I just wrote music, so let's fix that quickly. Music by George Gershwin. And we have to put in words by Ira Gershwin. Now, as we saw earlier, or at least I think I pointed out earlier, we have the option to put in a lyricist. Now, if I click on lyricist, that, could be what I'm looking for. So I can click here and I'll say, all right, I'm going to type this as I see on my lead sheet above music by George Gershwin. But see what happens when I click here for lyricist cursor shows up on the left-hand side of my lead sheet. And that's just how Sibelius is set up, so that the lyricist would be on the left-hand side and whoever composed the music would be on the right-hand side. But if that's not what you want, you wouldn't be able to, of course, type in Ira Gershwin and then say, okay, wonderful, I'm going to move that. Because just like the title, the lyricist is set up to be on the left-hand side. So we may as well just get rid of that, and we can do the following. We can say, if I hit return at the end of music by George Gershwin, I can, of course, type in lyrics by Ira Gershwin. Oops. But in my case, it says actually words by Ira Gershwin is above music by George Gershwin. So what I can do then is, I can do a number of things. But what I'll do, just to make it easy, is I'm going to go back here and I'm going to double click on music by George Gershwin. I'm going to type this in and see if this will work well for us. Words by Ira Gershwin. And then I can hit return. And there you go. So I hit return, and music by George Gershwin is now below words by Ira Gershwin, which is exactly how my lead sheet works, or how it looks. So that's what I'm looking to put in. Now, one of the other things that I have here is I have on the left-hand side, I'll have medium just to the left of my tempo marking. So how can I put that in? Well, again, we go up to styles and we look for something that's going to give us what we need here. So is it going to be tempo? Most likely. So let's see what I can do here. I'll type in medium, and yeah, that looks pretty good to me. So now I can have both of these. They look like they're spaced one from the other pretty well. And I can just do that and select both of them, drag them around how I need them, or since they were put in separately, I just drag one and put it where I need to put that in. And let's see, what else do I want to do here? How about I put in just below the title, I'm going to type in my own name because I'm the one who's inputting this. So how should I do that? I don't want that to be as large as the score. I'm sorry, as large as the title. So I could put it in maybe as a subtitle or plain text or something. So let's try subtitle and see how large that is. So I'm going to click here for subtitle and I'll put as input by Chris Shelton. That's still a little large. So I can do one of two things. I can either put this in differently, just as plain text, or what I can do is take this, select it as I have done, and I see up here, right under the text menu item, I see size, and then I see this is set to 14 as far as our font size is concerned. So I can just move that down to where I think is good. I think this is good. 11 is fine, but I can make that as small as I want or whatever I want to do. So 11 is good, so I'm just going to leave it as that. So this is how my lead sheet looks. So I'm just going to stick with this. And now I'm able to start working with the music. Now, one of the first things we see here is that when we were on the quick start window, I first of all said, no, this is in cut time. And then I said, no, I'm just going to change this back to 4/4 and change the meter once we get into Sibelius. So I'm going to do that here. And how I would do that would be the following. If I need to find anything, really I can just click on one of these menu items up here and see what's available if I'm not too familiar with the software, and I'll be able to find what I need to find here. So what we have here is notations. This is what we need because we see time signature here. If I wanted to change the clef, the key signature, which we'll do in a minute, bar lines, which we'll also do in a moment here, then I'll find that under notations as well. Just like slurs, crescendo markings, any other symbols that we have here. You'll find a lot of options under each of these menu items. So I'm going to change the time signature to cut time. So all I need to do is choose it, click there, and then I click on top of my time signature. I'm going to undo that, do it one more time just to make sure that you saw that. So time signature, I will choose that item, and under, or in this window, I will find cut time. I'll choose it. Once I click on it, my pointer becomes blue, and then I will click where I want that change to take place. So I now have cut time. And the final thing that I have to do here before I start putting in the music is that we need to change the key signature, which, luckily, like we said here, is just under notations right beside time signature. So I'll click on key signature. I need 3 flats because we are in E flat major. So I will choose that, and it's going to be exactly the same process as putting in, some kind of a time signature or something. I just choose what I want, and then, oh, actually, it's even easier. Sorry. So that then will give you the new key signature beside where you have, selected anything. So that's where this takes place. So good. That was even easier. And now we will put in the music. So what I see on my score, let me see, I see that there's a formatting that's happening here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm seeing for the most part, I mean, I see for the first 2 lines, there are 5 measures per line. So let's see if we can work with this and set it up so it's a certain amount of measures per line. So let's go up here. I believe it would be under something like layout. And I believe if we go over to something like auto breaks, then that should give us what we're looking for. Now, auto breaks is just one spot where you can find something dealing with various breaks from if you want a certain system to be a certain size. You can also work with system break, page break. If you get to a certain point and you think, wow, I really need the page to end at a particular measure, then you'll be able to choose that here. For our case at this point, I'm going to look at auto breaks, and I'll be able to choose what I need here. To the upper left under system breaks, use auto system breaks, and by default it's set for every 4 bars. I'm going to set it to 5 for now and see if anything changes in my score later, and then I'll click OK, and now you see what happens. We now have 5 measures per system, and so we're good to go as far as that part is concerned for the first 2 lines anyway, for the first 2 systems. Now, since we're dealing with formatting, I'm going to look at how many measures I have here in my score. I have 26 measures. So I have a lot of extra measures here because this is set up to, what is it, 80 measures? Yeah, so let's get rid of some of that. I can get rid of this really by just doing the following. I see my 26th measure here. In Sibelius, what I can do is on a Mac, I will click Command, or I'll press the Command key and then click what I have here. So you'll do the, you work with the corresponding key on a PC, and then I'll go to the end of my score and click or press Shift Command, and then click the final measure of the score. And now I just click Delete, and that deletes everything that I have after that measure. So now that's one of those things that you will have to be aware of, because if I click any of these measures without clicking Command, then if I put something in and choose a measure and hit Delete, it's only going to delete the contents. It will not delete the measure. So what I have to do is Command click, and now you see it's a different color when it's selected. So now it's purple. If I just click a measure, it's blue. So you have to get acquainted with the different functions that you have depending on how you this moved a little bit, how you choose the measure. Okay, so next I see I have a repeat at the beginning, so I'm going to put that in, and that's under notations as well. And we talked a moment ago about bar line, so I'm going to choose bar line, and I need what they call a start repeat. Some people will call it begin repeat, whatever. I'm sure there are many names for that. And I'm just going to click on the first measure because that's where that exists. So I have that ready to go. And then I have in measure, what is this, 6, 7, at the end of measure 8, I have my end repeat. So I go back up to bar line, choose end repeat, 8, and whoops, that went into measure 7. I'm going to undo that, which in Sibelius, it's just like most other programs. Command Z, on a Mac would undo what you've already done. And so let's try this again. 6, 7, 8. Put that at the end. Bam. Okay. Now we have the repeat symbols that we need there, or the repeat bar lines. So to put in our music, we can do this in a few different ways, but I'm going to, just because of the setup that I have, I'm going to do the most basic method, which on Finale it would be simple entry. So you're just pointing and clicking. So on Sibelius, I really don't know what the method is called, but what I will do is show you how to work with it. So here you can see by default we have one other window open, and it is the keypad. It corresponds to the keypad that you may have on your computer if you have one on your computer. A lot of Macs don't have that, but most PCs do. It really just depends on the keyboard that you have. So these correspond to your keypad. So if I leave it as it is, this is where I can have accents, I can have sharp. If you just put your pointer on any of this stuff, it'll tell you what it is. So obviously we have a quarter note there, and so on. Down here the rests, and now we have these two dots, so this is a staccato marking up here, and down here at the bottom is what adds time to the or adds duration to the pitch that you've put in, and they call them a rhythm dot. And this over here is a tie, right here in this spot. This is this functionality of the keypad. Up here I can change how the keypad works. So if I click here, I have smaller durations to work with and larger durations to work with. I also have up here, if we need to put in grace notes, flams, whatever the case may be. We also have double dots, triple dots, that kind of stuff. And as I move along, this is actually a good functionality to get used to or get acquainted with, because this is where you can work with beams pretty easily. So if you have some kind of specific beaming that you need to do in your score, this is where you would take care of that. Also, if you're working with, as we see here, tremolos, if you're working with, snare rolls and things like that, then you can work with that here as well. And the final couple functionalities that we have here would be, like your fermatas, your bowings and things. We have more uncommon options to work with here. Finally, our microtonal options. So we have, for here, a quarter sharp and a quarter flat and things of that nature. But what we'll be getting into today will just really be this first functionality. So what I need to do is have this up and ready for me, none of the other functions, and I will then put in what I need. So by looking at my lead sheet, I first off need a dotted quarter note. So I'm going to click on the quarter note. I need to choose the correct dot. I need the rhythmic. And I'll go over here and put in my B flat. Okay, there we have it. And now the eighth note after that, which is also a B flat. And then I have now a tied G. So how can I put this in exactly? I have my G there. I'll take this tie and choose that. Whoops, sorry, did that backwards. I'll choose the note and then take the tie and put that in. It's tied to nothing at this point, so I need to put in that next G that this happens to be tied to. So then I'll choose my whole note and just click it in there. Now, as you can see, after I put in a pitch, it's ready for me to put in other pitches. I have the pointer is blue, and I can put in some other things. If I want to get out of that, I just hit escape, and now I'm back to normal. So that's how I would work with that. So this is how you're going to put in pitches for this lead sheet. Now I need to put in a couple other things here, one of which is chord symbols. So I'm going to move this out of the way, move it up a little higher so I have room for my chord symbols. So what I need to do is I need to next find where these chord symbols might be. So if I click on text, I'll see over here conveniently enough chord symbol, so I can just click here. And once I click there, you see my pointer is blue again, which means that when I click on something, it's going to input something or get me ready to input something. This is text, so it will give me a cursor right above the pitch where I want my chord symbol to be. So from here, I need an E flat. So I'm going to type in E, and I will, for the flat, just type a lowercase b, and now you can see that it looks like, as we can tell, a capital E and a lowercase b. But when I get into the next pitch, in other words, when I hit the space bar to get to the next pitch, then it sort of cleans up that chord symbol that I have. So that lowercase b now actually looks like a flat that you would find in music. So we have E flat. And what I can do is I can just continue on here until I move to the next pitch that I need to put a chord symbol above. I don't have everything in there that I need just yet, so I'm going to put in a few more, and then I'll be able to show you some more of this. So if I put in this again, actually, you know what? Let's make it easy on ourselves. I am going to take this. Actually, I'll just take this. Well, yeah, we'll do that. We'll take these two, and we're going to copy. And we're going to see if pasting works well for us, because the next two measures are the same as far as the pitches are concerned and the durations. So let's see how well that works. I'm going to paste that, just doing a typical copy and paste. And yeah, it pastes everything that I selected with the exception of that begin repeat or start repeat. But unfortunately, I do have this E flat. So I need to change that because in my score, it's actually E diminished. So if I choose this symbol and I now go into, what is it? Yeah, I'm clicking option 0. That gives me that symbol that I need for diminished. And then I hit spacebar again, and you can see it again cleans up that chord symbol. So now it looks more like it's E diminished, an E diminished triad. Okay, so what else do I have to work with here? This one, yeah, you know, we can actually copy that again because it's the same thing. We just don't need this tie. So I will click the tie. Actually, we do need the tie. Sorry. It's the next measure that changes. This has B flat, and G. So now I'm going to go here and change this E diminished. And you can see here when I get into diminished, yeah, you can type in E and then DIM. And once you press the space bar to get away from it, it will clean it up and just make it look like E with the symbol for diminished, which is that sort of that superscript 0 up there. For this measure, what we need is F minor 7. So I'm going to put in capital F and then a lowercase m and then a 7. And again, just like it has always done, it should clean this up once I hit the space bar. And there it is. So this is how you will put in various chord symbols. Now, what about the more interesting or strange chord symbols that you can work with here? Let me put in some more pitches, and I will show you how some of the more complex chord symbols work. So let's put in this, and I have to tie that. There we go. And I'm just going to start here. I hit the space bar, and I'll continue hitting the space bar until I get where I need to be. So we have F minor 7, and with this B flat underneath it, and there it is. I was able to do that quite easily. B flat 13, and the same applies. E flat. And now I get to this next one, which is a little bit more intricate. So I'm going to say flat 9 and where is it? Sharp 5. And there we have it. So if I use, as you just saw, if I use a comma between the rest, the pitches that I have, the altered pitches, or the tensions that I have on this chord, then what it'll do is write it correctly. It'll clean it up, as we say, after I hit the space bar. So I have C7, and then in the parentheses there, flat 9 and sharp 5. So that helps quite a bit, that we don't have to do any weird finagling to try to get around that. So let's see that one more time. This time it'll be a B flat 7 with a flat 9 and sharp 5 again. I finish with the parentheses, and now I hit spacebar, and there we have it. So B flat 7, flat 9, sharp 5. So let's see. What else do we need to do here? Of course, there's more to this score, but it's really going to be just the same thing over and over. So the final thing that I'll show here is lyrics, which will go underneath here. Now, what I'm going to do is I need to give myself a little more space here between the systems. So I'm just going to click on this system and drag it down. See, if I do this, what it'll do is it'll give me more space. I'm going to zoom out and show you exactly what was happening there. When I first started, this is what my score looked like. When I click and drag, then at one point, or at some point, boom, there we go. It will then give me more room across the board. Of course, I'll need to maybe play around with this to make it look, perfect, or make it look exactly how I want it to look, because there are certain, depending on the score you're working on, if it's a lead sheet or if it's some massive, orchestral piece, you're going to need it to look a certain way. And to do that, then of course you're going to have to play around with the layout and the formatting some more. But in our case, this will do just fine, and we will now put in some lyrics. So if I click here for lyrics, then I see various lines of lyrics. So I can click on lyrics line 1, and I'm going to click underneath this pitch. If I clicked on the pitch, it would give me a cursor underneath, because that's where your lyrics are going to be. So I'm going to type this in. Whoops. And then after having typed in what I need to type in as far as the first few pitches, if I need to then hold that out, I'll use the space bar, and see, now I get a line underneath. So that's all you need to do to get that extension past a particular lyric. So let's continue on. Same thing applies, and there we go. And we have our first line done. Now we have underneath here, because this is a repeat, typically when you have a repeat like this, it's the same pitches, but maybe you have different lyrics. And in this case, in this particular song, yeah, that's exactly what's going on. So you have another set of lyrics there, or another line. So I'm going to click, I'm going to click here again on lyrics and go to lyrics line 2. And I'll click on that first pitch and start typing. And let's see if I typed everything correctly. We're good. Okay, and then I can just finish this off. And there we have it. So, actually I stalled because I see a typo here in the score that I have. So let's see, what else do I need to show you here that's from this particular score? I will take his, well, I've basically shown, I think, what I need to show you in order to get this particular project completed. So yeah, let me just put in a few more things here, and we'll see. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this third line actually has just 4 measures. So I'm going to put in a few more pitches. And then we're going to get to this third line. Now this third line, as we said, it doesn't have 5 measures. It just has these 4. So what I can do here is if I go into Layout and System Break here. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, you just choose, let me undo that to re-show that so there's no confusion here. If I click on this final bar line of the last one that I want to be part of this system, I can then click on this system break. And there we have our 4 measures. And let's see if it continues after that. 2, 3, 4. Actually, it does. So if I choose these, I can do 4 there, and 4 again. It just keeps going until we have 4 in the last line as well. And now we're done with our formatting. So that makes that easy because like we saw before, once you set up however many measures you want per system, you can go back and change particular systems to be different. So that's how you do that, just using system break up here. Now, let's see what else we can show if there's anything absolutely necessary. I think in measure 15, it starts out with a quarter note rest. So I'm going to choose quarter note here. I mean, there are a couple different ways you can do that because I just chose the measure and then I clicked on quarter note up here and that gave me a quarter note rest. What I can also do is choose quarter note and then rest and go over here and just put in the rest. So either way, it works fine. So now what I would like to do is put in a few of these pitches just to make sure you know how to put in the staccato and legato markings here. Now what I'm going to do here also as kind of a bonus is I'm putting in this D, and on this particular score you will see that this D just repeats. Now what I can do is I can type D into my score over and over, and that's one way to do it. But let's say I had some chord here that I was working with. Let's say it's this. I can't, take a D and a G and an octave D here and play all of those, because again, I have just one D on my keyboard. So what I can do is use the letter R, and that will repeat. So if I need to play that chord 50 times or whatever, I can hit R 50 times, or I can hit R for one measure and then copy and paste that measure. So that just shows you kind of a quick, there's a shortcut there that you can use. So in our case, we have this D. I will use the R, and then I need, play with me here. There we go. That didn't work that way for me, but I'll put the dot in here that way. And these have, let's see, this legato or tenuto marking. So what we see here is I just choose the pitch, go up to my keypad, and just click on what I need. I'll choose the next pitch, which needs that staccato marking, and again, I just choose what I need, and that gives me a staccato. Now, for the rest of these, since they're all, they all have that tenuto marking there, what I can do is just select all of these. I'll just click and drag on all of these, and then choose this marking, and it shows up on all of them. So, it makes things a lot easier. It's a pretty easy process. And I think that's pretty much everything that you will need to get through all of this without actually doing everything. There's a lot of repetition here, and it's really all about getting acquainted with this software. So there you have it. This is a very, very quick introduction to putting a lead sheet into Sibelius, and well, that is all. So enjoy, and I hope this helps.